let it go この決意 Unbreakable 愛する世界に不正なアクセス許さないぜターゲットロックオン今すぐ出動 It's moving time 飛び込め危機の最前線シャットダウン完了特命戦隊 Go Busters
Before I begin this review, I'd like to give a brief shout out to subscriber and fellow Irish YouTube reviewer, the Dude McDude, who actually went out of his way to smash his copy of the god-awful Game Boy game, Shrek Fairy Tale Freakdown, after I jokingly told him to destroy it in the comments of the review for that game. Dude McDude, you are bloody awesome. Anyway, we can get on with the actual review. It's time to review The Adventures of Tintin, Secret of the Unicorn for the Xbox 360. Secret of the Unicorn is the movie tie-in game based on the awesome 2011 Tintin movie of the same name, directed by Steven Spielberg and Peter Jackson, which itself is based on 3 separate Tintin albums written and drawn by the artist Hergé. The game's gotten mostly mixed to negative reception, with the website OneUp even nominating it for the worst game of 2011. But is it really that bad? Well, let's find out. There are actually 2 different stories in the game because, well, there are 2 different story modes. The one based in the movie, simply called Tintin, and an original co-op adventure known as Tintin and Haddock. In Tintin, we play as the titular intrepid reporter as the model ship he buys called the Unicorn is stolen from him, and when he tries to get it back, he's flung into a worldwide treasure hunt. And I'll go as far as that just so I don't spoil, well, the entire thing. Tintin and Haddock takes place after the main story. In it, our favorite drunkard captain, Captain Haddock, is knocked out due to a cock-up by the Thompson twins, and although I'm not too sure about this, he apparently has to fix his broken mind so he can regain consciousness or something like that. I don't know, just imagine the plot of Earthworm Jim 3D but with Tintin characters and you'll get something like the plot of this particular mode. The Adventures of Tintin is actually a cinematic platform along the lines of the 2D Prince of Persia games, Another World, Flashback, and so on, where the goal is to get from point A to point B. The A button jumps and is used to open doors when pressed alongside up on the left thumbstick, as well as any other context-sensitive action in the game. X punches enemies, and the right trigger picks up items, and when held, gives you a throwing angle where you can throw the item by pressing X. Throughout the game, you'll play as Tintin, but will occasionally take control of his faithful dog Snowy, who jumps with A and digs whenever he's over a certain hole and barks at rats by pressing X. In the story, you'll encounter all kinds of gameplay such as dogfighting, sword fighting against pirates, and a few vehicle missions as well. The co-op mode has the same gameplay as the campaign, but there are a few differences. First of all, you can switch characters by pressing left or right on the D-pad, since all of the characters have exclusive abilities in this mode. There's also a larger focus on collecting treasure, as you can collect gems and doubloons when defeating enemies, breaking pots, or opening chests, and you can use the money to buy costumes in the hub levels. As well as that, you can find items to increase the overall game percentage, costume icons to unlock costumes to buy in the hub, and gears that can unlock bonus levels. You can change costumes by pressing up and down on the D-pad, and if you're playing by yourself, you can switch characters by pressing left or right on the D-pad. Now, okay, something that I found a bit odd about the game is its graphics. They're not bad, don't get me wrong, but the character models are really, really creepy to look at, since Ubisoft tried to render Hergé's drawings in a photorealistic style like the movie. Ironically, I didn't think they looked as lifeless as everyone said they were in the movie, but in the game they're utterly terrifying, particularly Benita Castellfiore, the opera singer, who looks as if she's literally melting. I don't know, maybe it's just the engine the game runs on, which looks dated admittedly, but for whatever reason the characters look really scary up close. Also, I have to admit that the sword fighting sections are really, really boring, since it's basically just an on-rails game where you just wave around the sword with the left thumbstick. Seriously, you can't even move, it's just kill one group of enemies, move forward. Kill another group of enemies, rinse and repeat for the rest of the section. I mean, okay, to be fair, this kind of makes sense since the game has optional connect functionality, but couldn't they have come up with something a bit more interesting for when you're not playing with Kinect? As for the main gameplay, yeah, there are a few problems. For example, there are some truly frustrating sections, such as when you have to try to shine your flashlight on bugs, which constantly respawn, making things very annoying, or when you fight some of the bosses in the co-op mode. Plus, the checkpoints can occasionally be placed a bit too far back, making things even more bloody annoying. Although, probably the worst thing about this game is that early on, it kept freezing all the damn time. And this wasn't like, go back to the dashboard and everything will be fine freezing. No, it was reset your console freezing. Now, I don't know if this was just me or if other people have encountered it, but either way, it got to the point where I had to eventually install the game onto the hard drive to see it would stop. Thankfully, the game did stop freezing, but it was still annoying that it happened so much to begin with. Now, let's get to the good things in the game. Firstly, the main gameplay is actually pretty damn fun. The platforming is smooth and responsive. I like how the combat mostly relies on the franchise's trademark slapstick, and there aren't any glitches that popped up during the gameplay, I mean, aside from the freezing. I also liked how the story in the game wasn't a complete retread of the movie's plot. What I mean is that the general plot is the same, but it's done in a very different way from the movie, so you get something new. The story on its own is also pretty entertaining, with a lot of good jokes in it, and even though the character models are creepy, their animation just add a so bad it's good flavor to the cutscenes. Seriously, just watch one of them. And while most reviews criticize the other modes of gameplay, I actually thought the vehicle and dogfight missions were pretty enjoyable, if a bit difficult at times, and added a bit of variety to the game. The music, while appearing every so often, is also pretty good, with Snowy's theme being the best out of the bunch. The co-op mode, though, is a lot more fun than the main story due to focusing purely on platforming, and is completely and utterly insane sometimes. I also like how you can play the co-op mode on your own and the game changes accordingly to suit people playing on their own. However, the best parts of the game are the levels in the co-op mode where you play as Snowy the entire way through. I don't know why. Maybe it's the cheery music playing the entire time, maybe it's the simple nature or the type platforming, but when my brother and I played through the Snowy levels together in the co-op mode, we agreed that for whatever reason, the Snowy levels are the best bits of the game. The Adventures of Tintin Secret of the Unicorn is actually a pretty damn solid game, with fun platforming combat, a funny story that diverges from the movie, an insane and ridiculous co-op mode, pretty good vehicle and plane missions, good music, and awesome Snowy levels. However, the game's let down by boring sword fights, creepy character models, very frustrating sections, and freezing quite a bit. However, despite all this, I seriously don't think The Adventures of Tintin is anywhere near as bad as 1UP suggested it is. In fact, I give it a strong Jack and Daxter, meaning that it's a pretty damn good game. And if you enjoy cinematic platformers or just love platforms in general, I recommend you check out The Adventures of Tintin.